Okay, good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's well. Happy Monday. Another day, another opportunity to get a little bit better. In the middle of a crazy world in which we live. Which way's up, which way's down? Who knows? Who knows? The only thing that we do know is that we have the opportunity to work on ourselves. I'm sitting now in a period of time where I can't even read the news anymore. I'm reminded of a great quote by a famous rabbi named Rabbi Yisrael Salanter, who said that when he was younger, he wanted to change the world. And as he got older, he figured he would at least change his family. And as he got older, he realized he can barely do that. So he figured he'd change himself. And once he changed himself, he started to impact his family, and he ultimately made an impact on the world. This is a very big insight from the famous Baal Shem Tov, that anytime you see something in the world that bothers you, the reason why God is showing it to you in some ways, not the only reason, one reason why God shows you things that bother you is it's an insight into self. So we can take things that's going around, and as opposed to feeling helpless, we can feel as if we have what to work on in ourselves. So for those that are here with us now Monday morning, thanks for joining. Thanks for being part of this. Today is a great week to get a little bit better. That should be our goal this week. Let's get to the end of this week a little bit better. And if we did that, it's plenty to be proud of. That's all God asks, a little better every single day. So yesterday we started to talk about this concept called honor. Honor seems like it's not as important as it is. Who cares who I honor? Who cares what I think is, the most important? Does it really matter that if somebody of wisdom stands up and speaks, I'm like, and if a celebrity walks in, I'm blown? Does it really matter that the athlete that walks in is like my eyes bug out? But when that old man that walked in that survived the Holocaust, it's like, At a surface level, no, it doesn't really matter. It's not what I do. It's not what I say. It's not the levers of discipline and enthusiasm. But once we're living in the world of learning to use our levers, that's just the car that we're driving. What we have to work on, if we're really going to use our strengths properly, is honing the mechanism as to the direction in which I go to. Because we can have the greatest car in the world. We can own enthusiasm and zeal. We can own discipline. But at the end of the day, if our trajectory is off even by a few degrees, and we multiply that by a decade of time, we're in an entirely different world. I was speaking the other day to a bunch of younger kids in their early 20s. And I was saying, I remember my 20s. I remember my friends in my 20s. And I look now in my 40s, and I see my friends and I see my friends in our 40s. And I'm sure many of you have the same experiences. And I see how each one, where they all landed. And I remember being lined up with them in our 20s. And I can, in some cases, look back and see that it was just these small degrees of trajectories. Things that maybe they chose or was chosen for them. It doesn't matter. And I'm not judging who's better and who's worse. I'm just saying you can see the trajectory that if two people line up next to each other in their 20s and they're just a little bit to the, out in different degrees, and you multiply that by 2 decades and you're in two different planets. So what we honor, what we respect, what we care about, if we're not going to take that back and own it as a trait, it will own us. And we will be driving towards something that we may not deep down want. We may get it, and when we get it, we're like, "What?" Just have to be honest. I mean, we're all family, right? That was one of the reasons why I left big law. I love law, but wherever I was, in whatever situation that I was in big law and corporate law, I remember getting to a level where I would gain more and more exposure to the partners in that law firm. Not if you're a lawyer in a law firm, God bless you. Your law firm is different. The law firm that I started in, I remember gaining access to those partners, the ones at the end of the road. And when I first got to the firm and they handed us books with, all the partners' pictures, it was like this inculcation of partner worship. For those of you who grew up in big law, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You walk in and they feed you the worship of partners. They give you books with their pictures. You respect them. When they speak, you take notes. Yeah, it's indoctrination. It's so like undercurrent partners. And I remember as I got older, thank God, and I started to do bigger transactions and started working one-on-one. I liked them, but I started to realize that for me personally, just Charlie, not for anyone else. If you're a lawyer, God bless you. Keep on doing what you're doing. Me personally, the things that I love in life, things that I want in life, that goal of being a partner, when you delve into it, and I saw what that looked like, it became apparent to me that trajectory wasn't where I wanted to go. When we don't realize that a lot of what we're striving for is just neuroplasticity, it's just exposure to ideals and things that were handed to us. If we don't start to understand the honor that we give to things and to people, we incline towards it. We fill our lives with it. And as a result, we are excluding the paths that would give us the life that we want. Not because we can't get there, not because our zeal is off or even our discipline is off. It's because our trajectory is off. Because we don't fully understand that the trajectory of our lives is connected to the honor and respect that we give things. If you remember, we spoke about this idea of future benefit, which is, I can't change my life in a minute. I can't change my life in a week. So if I'm going to spend my life in the trees, I can't really move because I'm always going to be right in front of my face. What I need to do is take time to use my imagination and to see into the distance and to throw a rope into the direction as to where I'm going. I need to spend a minute. I don't know if you've done this before. How many times have you done this? I've done this all the time, where I get in the car to drive somewhere and I know where I'm going. And I pull into this space, usually because I live near the Van Wyck and the Belt Parkway, and like every other highway that just, for whatever reason, just shuts down whenever it wants. So many times I'm driving somewhere, this happened to you, and I'm going somewhere, and like it's bumper to bumper. I'm like, what? Bumper to bumper? And then I see there's like an accident, God forbid, or like this construction, and I go to Waze, and I'm like, Waze is like almost telling me like, what are you doing? Like Waze is like, Charlie, like just put me on earlier. Like you can't plug me in the driveway. You gotta like plug me in like in the red light. If you would have just plugged in the address in the driveway before you got out of the driveway, I would have told you, Waze is telling me, like, to go the other way. But now like you're in traffic. So like now you're pumping Waze and like, how much can I do for you? And every time I'm thinking like, just put the address in Waze. Waze knows. Just put the address in before you drive the car. It's our lives. We got to put the address in. We got to think about where we ultimately want to go. That could be why King Solomon says so brilliantly that it is better to go to a house of mourning than a house of festivities. Because that's exactly, what's the difference between mourning and festivities? There's the actions. That's the surface level. It's so much bigger than that. The difference is what is being honored. What is being held on the pedestal in a house of festivities, in a wedding, at a bar mitzvah, at a party of any sorts? It is this world that is being honored. It is the fun and the joy of this world. And it's beautiful and it's wonderful, but it can throw us. We can get lost in the beauty of it. We can get lost in the surface of it. We can get lost in the whirlwind of fun. You go to a house of mourning, God forbid. It's all values. You see a guy up there who's like a good guy, and everyone's like, he's the greatest guy ever, and he gives charity and he studies, and you're like, wow, like I didn't realize why aren't they highlighting that this guy made this incredible deal? Why aren't they talking about the size of this guy's house? Why are they talking about the size of this guy's bank account? How come they're not talking about how he's the toughest negotiator? Why are they talking about how beautiful this woman? Why are they talking about how kind they are and how giving they are? Why are they doing that for? Because when a person is at their death, life becomes like it's like the camera focuses into perspective, and everybody in the room goes, no, 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 no. You know what's really worth honoring? Values. You know what the kids get up and say about mom and dad? And even like and you can really hear it sometimes. It can irk you when a kid has to like stretch it out because like there's really not much outside the material. I love the way you match, Mom. You were always coordinated. That's what you got. God bless everybody. But when the kids can understand that beauty in the depths and how she tried to make everything nice, to make people feel good, now they've taken her actions and they've tied it to a direction. The kids are searching. People are searching for what to honor every day of our lives. And that's what drives us. What drives us is what we honor. And if you honor money, you're driven to make money. And there are people like this. And everyone needs money. And we all should make money. We all should have a lot of money. I am not the guy who gets up and says, let's all live on bread and water. I don't like that. I'm a regular dude like everybody else. I also want money. I also spend my days trying to make money. But when we honor money, when we look at that home at the end of the block, the proverbial home, and we all strive to get as much money as we can, we do things in order for us to get more money. That becomes where the car goes. Even if along the way we tell ourselves, no, it's because I want, but if we're being honest with ourselves, all that stuff is really just secondary. The primary goal of my life is to amass money. And it could be because I didn't have money. It could be because I respect money. I don't know. And if we're honoring pride and exposure, we'll do whatever it takes for someone to look at us. And we can say, but if we're honest with ourselves, what we want is just more people to look. That's what we honor. We look at people with Instagram accounts of 1 million people, and our minds are like, I hope that's me. You can see people, anyone who's on social media, you can see people trying so hard to get people to look at them for no reason other than to look at them, because they're desirous of that level. That's what they honor. They honor exposure. I remember one time seeing a documentary of kids that grew up in a world of YouTube celebrities. For those who aren't familiar, a YouTube celebrity is a celebrity that just does a show like this. And they get millions of hits, and they're usually young, and they're just talking. And they had a conference once. I'll never forget this documentary. I saw this years ago. And they interviewed these participants, these young kids, 12, 13, 14-year-old kids. And they're like, well, what do you want to do when you grow up? They go, we want to be famous. And the interviewer says, for what? And they said, doesn't matter. We just want to be famous. That's what we want. I don't care. If I got to embarrass myself on screen every day, I'll do that. If I got to say stuff or do stuff, or I'll do whatever it takes, man, because what I honor is fame. And if I see a celebrity walk in my world, can you imagine a celebrity, someone who's famous? It means they live their lives behind that little tiny camera, but lots of people see them recite lines that somebody else wrote for them. Can you imagine if I saw one of those people? I'm going to scream my lungs out while I wait online just to catch a glimpse, because I honor that. Remember, in our worlds, if we're not going to take this back, we're going to incline towards it. It doesn't mean that we're going to all run and start YouTube shows, but it does mean that along the way, we're not going to properly honor the things that make us who we are. We're not going to honor people that excel in kindness so that it drives us to push that kindness muscle to the brink. It's not going to honor us. And let me tell you something. I'm speaking to myself. I love sports. As you know, I've graduated, I think, just to football, mostly because one of my children only watches football. It's his thing. So as a dad, you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have a lot of time with your children. So I've adopted my son's way. I love sports. How can I tell you? I love sports. But as an adult, do I worship the ground that some 29-year-old running back walks on? Even if I do, am I man enough to say that I do? Am I man enough to say that I do so that I could take that piece out and look at it and say, is that what I'm really honoring? Athleticism. How much honor do I give to the story of the man who gives charity quietly? How much honor do I give to the story of that man who searches wisdom his whole life? How much honor do I give to that woman who's raising those kids alone with a smile? When I see her walk down the street and know what she goes through, do I see her as the celebrity that she is? I'm not saying we're going to change yet. Let's not get to like, what do I do with it? We'll get there, but let's forget that. Don't get to, okay, then what? Let's just give us let's give us 3 more minutes of just identifying it. How we change, how we solve. We'll get there. But let's just, all of us, for a minute, do this. This is what we do on the Boost, right? We're just trying to like dig into ourselves and recognize that what I honor is where I go. It's where I incline. It's where I'll put those extra few minutes or few hours, because in the end of the day, it's what I want to be. And as we grow through life, depending on when you're listening to this, it doesn't matter how old you are, because as you grow through life, if you're paying attention, you realize that I'm going somewhere. But maybe I'm going somewhere because I've never stopped to ask myself, what are the things that I honor most? And I can tell myself anything, but really, what do I honor most? Is it this world that I honor most? Do I honor fame and popularity and success? When I walk into a room, do I really want everyone to turn their heads? When I wear something or buy something, do I really want everyone to look and go, whoa, you've made it? Because if that's what I'm driven by, then that's where I'm driving towards. And although I may not have to take it to the level of somebody that I see on a screen that is debasing themselves, maybe I'll never get there because I have too much self-respect. But at the end of the day, by not being aware of it, I will have lost the ability to take this car that I have of zeal and discipline and drive it 100 miles an hour towards things that will change people's lives. towards being a parent that my children will say, I can't believe I was raised in that home, towards being a friend and a community member, and just being a human being that when I'm done with this world, people will look around and go, how? Where did she or he get this from? And the answer is that while I had the car, not only did I have the car to drive, I have clarified and asked and thought about that which is at the top of my schemes, so that when I wake up every morning, it's clear to me, or it's clearer to me, what I really want in life. Because one of the greatest blocks to our success is not our capability, it's our clarity. I want this and I want that and this and that. And I say I want this, but I really want that. And I say I really like this, but and that's what we got to work on together. It's a little bit deeper. So I hope you're sticking with me on this. That's what we're going to talk about. That's what we're going to talk about. Get inside. Let's get inside us. Because when we get into this place called honor, and we start to put the hierarchy correctly, we don't need some virus to stick us in our homes for 6 months to us to realize. We don't need, God forbid, some illness to like throw us for a loop. We don't need this stuff. We got here, and we got our souls. And when we're proactive with our hierarchy of that which we honor and respect, it aligns our lives. And we know what we're striving for. And once we know what we're striving for, with the soul that is inside us, ain't nothing getting in our way. All right. Think about that today. Try to listen to yourself inside. No judgments. No judgments. No judgments. Just be aware of it. What are the things that I really, really honor the most? We'll get this together with God's help. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Happy Monday. This is going to be the greatest week of our lives because we're alive, and we should be worthy of being alive. And if we're alive, we can get a little bit better, and a little bit better is all God asks. And doing what God asks, that's what we're here for. All right. Have an awesome day. And with God's help, I cannot wait to see you again tomorrow. Have a great day.